We are not alone, maybe. In an interview presented in a NewsNation special report, Confessions of a UFO Hunter, NewsNation special correspondent Ross Colhart spoke with Louis Elizondo, a former senior intelligence official and special agent who made international headlines when he revealed the Pentagon's secret UFO program in a bombshell New York Times story. During the special, Mr. Elizondo spoke of the government's knowledge of other life forms. Let's watch.
We've been recovering spacecraft. Alien spacecraft.
The United States has been involved in the recovery of objects, vehicles of unknown origin that are neither from our country or any other foreign country that we're aware of.
Alien bodies, biologics.
We as a nation have been interested in not only the vehicles themselves, but the occupants of these vehicles to include biological specimens.
Aliens, non-human intelligences, are real, and they have been engaging with humanity.
Ross, we're not alone. We are not alone in this universe, and it is a simple fact. And the U.S. government has been aware of that fact now for decades.
The full special airs tonight on NewsNation at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Joining us now to discuss it all is a journalist who has spent a lot of time covering UFOs at NewsNation, correspondent Brian Entin. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Brian, NewsNation really started reporting on the UFO issue last year with the David Grush interview. How does this new conversation move the story forward?
Yeah, well, I think we get more details from Elizondo. Our big exclusive with David Grush obviously opened up a huge can of worms. You had the hearings on Capitol Hill and all sorts of new questions about what the government really knows. But Elizondo is sort of the original whistleblower. He came forward years ago. He was actually running the program in the Pentagon that investigates UFOs and says that he became just like so upset that they weren't taking these things seriously. He felt like he was being stonewalled, that he left his job and has now gone public with his story. And you can tell in the interview that he did with Ross, I mean, he's very, very careful about what he's saying. We saw the same thing with David Grush, is because both of them still hold these national security clearances. They had the top level clearances. They have to be careful about what they say. A lot of what they say, they have to run through the Pentagon to see if they're allowed to actually talk about it. So Elizondo is careful. You know, you can tell there's more he wants to reveal that he won't. But still, you'll see in the special tonight, it's 9 o'clock Eastern on NewsNation. He says a lot.
Yeah, our viewers know that I have a lot of skepticism of these stories precisely because of the withholding that takes place from the people who are interviewed. They say they can't explain, it's a security, it's a clearance matter, it's a legal matter, but okay, but if you were the person to reveal where the physical evidence, the physical remains of alien life is being kept, I mean, there's physical evidence to the things they're alleging, not just that that lights have been seen in the skies by various people, but that there's some remains that's in a warehouse, that's in the possession of the government. Well, then my next question is always, well, where and why can't you tell me? Your reasons that you can't tell me don't seem as significant as the fact that if you did explain, this would be the most important revelation in all of human history, and you're saying there's some technical legal reason you can't give me more? It raises my my BS meter.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's fair, Robbie. And look, I'm a skeptic too. I think it's healthy to go into these stories as a skeptic, just like you would as any other story. Elizondo, he does give more information about locations than other people that we've interviewed in the past, which was interesting. And you're going to see in the special, I mean, he talks about Health and Human Services and says that they had some of these, they call them biologics. So, when you hear like they have aliens, you think like the movies and all of the little creatures that we've seen on TV, but that's not necessarily the case. I mean, he talks about the fact that some of these biologics may have come from beneath the ocean. They may not even be coming from outer space. And a biologic, it could be something as small as, like something they found on a rock. It's just something that scientists have discovered is non-human and is evidence that there's something else out there. And in terms of locations, I mean, he does give a few. I mean, he makes clear that he doesn't know where this this evidence, these biologics are being held right now at the moment, but he talks about the Department of Health and Human Services, and he names a couple of other U.S. agencies too. He says that they've been passed around from agency to agency over the years so that different experts, can study them, try to figure out exactly what these things are.
Now, I have to say, I'm a skeptic that aliens aren't real. I think it's more likely than not that we're not alone in the universe. And there are so many people who have been whistleblowers who have risked, losing their careers, losing their security clearance over what they're telling the public because they feel it's so important. And Lou said he really stuck his neck out to share this story. He left his Pentagon job and lost his family home. Can you tell us about that?
He was in the highest pay bracket for a federal employee. He was making a good living. He was at the top of his field in terms of being, an intelligence officer. He was the head of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Program, which studies UFOs. But again, he says he became so frustrated with the fact that he didn't believe that the government was really letting them go far enough. And he felt like there was a cover-up going on, which is something we also heard from David Grush, that, that the government, that there's a secret part of the government that knows these secrets and doesn't want them exposed. That whether that reason is national security, that's something that Elizondo talks about tonight. I mean, there's this claim that you've got different governments trying to replicate the technology of some of these UFOs for national defense, which goes back to Robbie's point. I mean, that could be one reason that it is all kept so secret still. I mean, let's not forget, you had these hearings, real hearings on Capitol Hill, lawmakers on both sides, Democrats and Republicans, coming forward and saying, we're trying to get information and we feel like we're being stonewalled. So, is it really like aliens, like I said, from the movies, and do they really have some crash craft? We don't know, but it does appear that there's something that they're keeping secret.
Yeah, the government withholding information is a totally plausible aspect of this. We know that the government, for instance, knows more about the origins of COVID than they have disclosed, even when everyone in Congress and the president vote for and sign a bill saying more disclosures here. We still don't get them because there's this level of knee-jerk secrecy. So that part is totally understandable. You brought up, the flurry of hearings of congressional interest and activity that took place a few months ago as a result of a lot of the great reporting that NewsNation did on this front. Was there any, where was that left off? What did anything come of that? There was, a lot of frustration on the part of the Congress members asking questions and looking into it. Was there some mandate for action that came out of it?
So, the Pentagon now has a program where they say they're going to investigate anyone from within the government who comes forward and says that they have information about UFOs that they feel like is being covered up. So that's something new. There's also going to be more hearings. Apparently, we've heard that for a while, but they've been in the planning stages. Obviously, there's a lot going on right now in politics and with the presidential election. So, that may be part of the delay. But, if you watch the hearings, there's videos out there that the Pentagon has released themselves. There's the Tic Tac video. You guys have seen it. It's like that little Tic Tac looking object that the fighter pilots were able to film out over the ocean. They saw it twice. They saw it one time off the coast of Florida, one time off the coast of California. And the Pentagon has released those videos and said, we don't know what this thing is. It's clearly not technology that the U.S. government has. The way that it's flying, you can tell it, it descends like 50,000 feet. I forget how many seconds. It's not something that our planes could do. So, they've released some of the videos themselves and said, we don't know what these things are. So it's interesting when you really start to think about it.
So, Brian, that interview with Lou Elizondo looks like a bombshell interview. Can you give us a preview of what else we can expect in this special tonight?
Yeah, so basically, he goes through, and again, he's got the national security clearances. He has to be careful about what he can say, but he talks about the program that he was a part of. He talks about the way that he feels he was stonewalled. He talks about where he believes the crashed craft, the biologics, were held within the government. He also talks about these private companies and their role in all of this. And he names names, which a lot of other people haven't done in the past. Companies like Lockheed Martin, Boeing. What a lot of these whistleblowers say is that there's these private contracts with these companies over the years, which have helped to keep the secret and helped to keep it out of the government, the government being in full control and there being disclosure. So he talks a lot about that. And he talks about what his family has gone through since he came forward, again, losing his job, and sort of, the implications of all of that. So the special is at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight, Friday night. And then we've got a live special, which I'm anchoring at 10 o'clock, where we're going to have a panel of experts to kind of go over what Elizondo said, how believable is it, that kind of thing. So it should be an interesting night.
We
Especially
will be
if you're
watching.
sick of politics by now. It's something you can get your mind off the DNC for one night.
Yes, this is a very refreshing palate cleanser. Thank you so much, Brian, for previewing that for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, guys.